You are watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show, Wednesday edition, governance and policy as well as politics. And this program is dedicated to the Democracy Summit, which Zambia is hosting this week. The summit will take place starting today and tomorrow, and various activities have been lined up for this summit. It is on this program rather, we are also reflecting on Zambia's democracy. You too, our dear viewers, can give us your perspective on what you think about Zambia's democracy. Are we on track? Are we doing the right things? What are some of the impediments that hinder our democracy to thrive? You can give us that call, and we get interacting rather on the Camnet Breakfast Show. But just now, we just go straight into our first segment, which is the morning booster, so that we can get flexing our muscles. Keep it on Camnet. Well, there you have it. That was the morning boost, and the women doing the drills. They are quite an interesting episode for today. I like it, and I would want to see Sharon amongst those women doing that, those movements. It's hard to see
Yes, that's
because.
fine. I will join them. I like the fact that we're seeing a mixed colored people doing the whole lot of things and both sizes of shapes.
Exactly, but I can see
I'm
the
sure
heavy
that's
duties.
I'm sure that's where your interest lies. You know,
The heavy
the
D's.
heavy D's. Oh my goodness, you didn't just say that. You just didn't say that. The Kalubas of that world.
Exactly.
I want to see Kaluba. She's been going to the gym
Yeah.
of late and she's been doing
But I'm
very
sure she was
well.
behind the camera. She needed to be.
She needed to be in front of the camera. This time around, we're doing the needful.
Yeah, we have to. No, we'll go and I'll go and film.
You go and film, eh?
Yeah, I have to film them as they do their drills. Yeah,
All
quite
right.
interesting one.
Indeed. Let's look at the health corner for now.
Hi, welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. So this week we are looking at a very interesting topic, and we're looking at polycystic ovarian syndrome. And we've discussed what is polycystic ovarian syndrome and what are some of the causes of polycystic ovarian syndrome. So we say that polycystic ovarian syndrome usually comes about because of increased production of insulin in the body, and this results in the body not responding well to the hormones, the female hormones that are produced, or even not producing enough of these female hormones. And also the body will tend to produce more of the androgens, which are the male hormones. And so you have irregularities in your menses, or even not have menses at all. And you might also have cysts that form in the ovaries. So what are some of the symptoms of somebody who has polycystic ovarian syndrome? Now, there are a number of symptoms that can be able to tell you that you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. Most people who develop this condition would usually see these symptoms a bit early after they start their periods. So it could be somebody who is getting into their 20s who starts experiencing such symptoms. Even though most of the symptoms would be there even before they start their periods, but because you have not yet started your periods, you can't really know that you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. So most people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome would have amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea. So they might not have menses regularly. So they might be some months when they're not having their menses. So they might have menses for 3 months and then skip 1 month, or even skip 2 months, 3 months, or even 6 months. So they have what we call oligomenorrhea. Then they may also have symptoms of hyperandrogenism. And so this is where they might experience what we call hirsutism, where they have facial hair, which is most common in men, which we see in men only. But now you find that even women start having facial hairs. They might have a beard or a mustache that develops because of the excess male hormones that are being produced. They may also have alopecia, where their hair is falling out, and so they might have loss of hair in their scalp, so they have a baldness on their head. So these are some of the symptoms that people with PCOS would usually have, apart from having the irregular menses. Then they might also be found to have cysts. When they go to the hospital, they might have cysts. Now, these cysts, when they develop, they might show as a distended abdomen, where somebody has an abdomen that is distended. or having a mass in the abdomen, or they might not. So sometimes they might be so big such that they can be very visible, and other times they are not so visible. So they might have these cysts that form in the ovaries. So these are the symptoms of people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I do hope you have learned something today. Make sure you watch again tomorrow, where we'll talk about the treatment or the diagnosis and how it's treated in a hospital once you are found to have this condition. Make sure that you also watch the other episodes on my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakubena Mfaya on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
Well, there you have it. Quite an interesting topic there. We hope you did manage to get the message. You can equally recommend some of the topics you'd want Dr. Mufaya to handle so that you can get abreast of various health issues. And now we have to know now how our kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. So, Madam Kalimbula, let's get to know how is it doing? Are we improving? Are we starting? Yeah, let's look at that one.
The Great British Pound is at 25 kwacha 93 ngwe and selling at 26 kwacha 44 ngwe. The United States dollars is at 21 kwacha 06 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 47 ngwe. The euro is at 22 kwacha 81 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 26 ngwe. While the South African rand is at 1 kwacha 16 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 18 ngwe. Those are your money markets as of today, the 29th of March 2023. Remember, these exchange rates vary from one financial institution to another, but they trade within the same range and only differ on the ngwe parts. Patrick, both buying and selling is now at 21 kwacha. Last time we were talking about the buying being on 21 kwacha. I was very excited about it. The selling was at 20. You know,
exactly.
The selling was at 20. What
20.
Yes.
Then the buying was at 20. The selling was at 21.
So it's now at almost at par. When you look at it critically, I think the buying, or is it the selling, is now going to 22.
Yeah. So what's
22.
Exactly. So what it simply means is that you need the 21 kwacha to have a single dollar. That's what it means in simple terms, and which shows that the currency has highly depreciated and it's going to worse levels. And you see, hey, I don't know what even to say, because you know this is a determinant of our economy. It's a determinant of our economy, Patrick, and very soon, in like one day, ERB will be. I was not talk about that. We'll be announcing the fuel pump prices, and obviously the sooner you accept that they are increasing, the better. I'd rather forget about them. No, we don't operate like that. We want people to feel the pain. We want to remind before the actual thing, so that they survive. You know, we don't want my BP. So those, you know, you will see those like people like Elias, the youngest car owner, to go and the queue to buy fuel in advance. To so that he can buy it at least for that's cheaper. Cheaper price before they escalates further the following day, and it's quite for me, like we said last time, it's better. You're saying we want to be selling a liter at 50 kwacha. Just peg it at that, and don't bother people every day with these monthly reviews, just increasing 1 kwacha. You know, it's better people get set and plan once and for all, and know to say this is our fate, and let's live with it, you know. So, but for now, we'll keep our fingers closed, hoping that probably they may just say, okay, we'll maintain the price as it is.
Indeed, Patrick, we are co-hosting the Democracy Summit as a country, among other countries, and today is the opening in Zambia, and we surely hope that various discussions will be put on the table and to improve bilateral relations, multilateral relations, among other things that will help improve our appearance or our standing on the international community. And we hope that you will follow the proceedings, Patrick. You being an accredited member of this summit, we should hope you bring us up to speed with whatever will be discussed there, at least probably for the first part of the morning.
Yeah, so for today, the meeting is virtually. So we log in virtually equally ourselves. So I just got confirmation from Zanis that some of us have to follow it virtually for today.
Yes,
because for today, the design was that the 29th is the virtual arrangement. Then only a few people probably would be at the auditorium where the statements will be issued. Then tomorrow it's a physical meeting. So now tomorrow we'll be there. We'll be giving you quite some updates, live updates. You can follow our Facebook page on some of the pronouncements that will be made on the Democracy Summit. You know, it is quite interesting because we are looking at the Democracy Summit. Zambia being a democratic nation, it means it is being recognized in terms of the efforts it's putting in place to ensure that it strengthens its democracy. However, this democracy is not as clean, just like in any other country. There are some pitfalls here and there. Sometimes we have found we fail to uphold to some of the tenets of good governance, and that undermines democracy. I'll give you practical examples that which government critics have been referring to, which point to the issues pertaining to, for instance, the protest by opposition political parties when they notify the police to say we want to conduct a peaceful protest. They are not allowed to do so, and they are prevented by the police. So those also tends to dent our democracy, because the freedom of expression and the right to assemble are provided for in our constitution. So you discover that some of these few glitches would hinder our constitution. Now, when we talk about the electoral process, we have been doing fairly good as a country in terms of us working on our electoral system. But to create an inclusive and accommodating electoral system, others have been advocating for the mixed member proportion system, where we ensure that marginalized groups such as women are given an opportunity to express themselves. They can be appointed among those nominated members of parliament in the House. So children, persons with disabilities, as well as young people. You know that young people, despite being in the majority, are still not effectively participating in governance. So those are the issues that tend to dent our democracy. And if we are working on those small things, we'll be well and good. But overall, I think we have to be receptive to divergent views and respecting the will of the people if our democracy is to be up to date.
Indeed, Patrick, we've had a number of comments, a number of interviews from various sector players in this economy. Among them are political players who have expressed divergent views owing to the fact that this same summit is coinciding with a visit by U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, and they are saying her agenda is basically here to promote what this country does not support. However, those from the ruling party say this summit will raise the bar in terms of Zambia's democratic credentials. You know, it's been recognized because of its smooth transition from one president to another through the ballot. You know, this is the 7th president we've had, you know, democratically elected, Patrick, without any disputation. Double H7, you call him. So we are hoping that going forward we will continue to improve on our democracy. Of course, we've got glitches like you mentioned here and there, especially when it comes to issues of elections. You know, there's a bit of violence that is recorded. Even the international community, like the European community, European Union, when they are monitoring these elections, they give their detailed reports and these things come out. However, we still stand tall owing to the fact that there is always a smooth transition once one is declared winner, regardless of how the process might have been.
Exactly.
Also, we've tried as a country country to put things into place, to put laws into place. It's just the implementation part that has been very hard for us, I must say, owing to the fact that I've noted, due to what we have observed, seen, and written as the media, we have sufficient laws for most of the things. We are accredited internationally to a lot of laws, the regulations that will help bind us, will help us live in harmony as a country, will help improve our economy, among many other things. So that really puts us on the map as a great example of a democratic country. Let's look at one of the stories that we did, just to remind us and help us reflect on how we were part of this democracy summit. And this is coming from Babala Member of Parliament Joseph Monsanja, who is a UPND member, and says the Patriotic Front is a bitter party after losing the election by 1 million votes that were trying to criticize everything the UPND administration is doing. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Monsanja invited all Patriotic Front members to attend the Democratic Summit and learn more about democracy, about how democracy operates as opposed to making unsubstantial allegations. He says the allegations in the summit is meant to promote LGBTQ rights are not true, as it is meant to swell the public away from real issues. Let's look at this. We've got a number of stories lined up from various sector players who are talking about this summit and encouraging people to follow. At least you can follow today online.
Yeah.
And it will be beamed live on the national broadcaster when that time comes.
Yes.
So you can still follow and see to it that indeed this is not what they were talking about, or this is what they are talking about. Let's argue on an informed perspective. Let's look at these stories, and when we come back, we'll continue discussing the issue.
So after losing power by over 1 million votes, the PF is so annoyed. They are doing everything like a barking dog, trying to make as much noise as possible to criticize these new developments. People are free. They are free to choose the way they chose. 2.8 million people chose him and the party to rule, and as such, that we are leaving it, we are allowing it. We are allowing the opposition to participate in national events. We are allowing them to participate in the by-elections. We are allowing them, but the only thing is that they are losing always. So when they are losing, they have to find something to back on, and they are just backing, making noise without anything realistic. So the conference will be here. They will learn about democracy. Let them come and attend so that they can learn about democracy and how we are supposed to live together in peace. Not the noise they are making, talking about things that are not there. Things they are talking about, there is no LGBT there. It's talk about democracy.
And of course, those who may want to think that there is any other sort of motivation or agenda behind the summit will realize that after the first summit for democracy, none of those things that they say could have took place. I don't want to give them credence, that narrative credence. The states remained sovereign states, enjoying their sovereign rights in each particular country, enjoying the provisions of the law which they want to enjoy. But we made certain obligations towards, commitments and obligations towards enhancing democracy in our country. In Zambia, we said we're looking at three things. Under the rule of law and governance generally, we said we want a free media, and I'm paraphrasing this. We want to enhance the freedoms of expression, freedoms of assembly, and other freedoms that are guaranteed in the Constitution. And we want a stronger electoral process. This is what we are going to talk about as Zambia at this summit, and we'll be sharing notes with the 21 other African countries. And so it's basically an official visit from a very high-powered a visitor from the United States of America. And I want to say that Zambians, we must be what we are all the time when we receive visitors. I want to say that we must say to Kamala Harris, Moise, you are welcome. This is our home. This is her home.
We are not a colony of any country that laws made in those countries must target to punish African countries. The issue of gay rights has been a subject of discussions, and though we are happy that the position taken by our President, Republican President, His Excellency, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, this message needs to be said to the Vice President of America straight and declare that Zambians are not and will never be ready to import these alien vices of homosexuality. Our culture and traditional heritage should be respected at all costs and should not be replaced with foreign culture ideologies such as the support and endorsement of LGBTQ agenda. This agenda, which seemingly has taken root in our society, should not be imposed on us.
The president was voted into power on the premise of fighting corruption. We are surprised that today he is the one in the forefront to defend those that are alleged to be corrupt. We are very disappointed with his statement where he openly told the media to say he had instructed the finance minister to sue Munia Zulu. That statement was offside, and if it is possible, we ask the president to retract that statement, because already Munia Zulu has been convicted.
The Democracy Summit is to be held here in Zambia on the 29th to the 30th of March 2023. It's indeed a gesture that which we have seen other people that are trying to advocate for, especially the opposition, that are trying to advocate that this conference should be cancelled. It was first held in the USA, and Zambia becomes the second country to host such a landmark and grandiose occasion. So we as youths, we are deliberately and confidently following behind the footsteps of His Excellency the President, who has called an end to Kadarism, an end to political violence. And he has also respected a lot of liberties. Social liberties were being trampled upon people in this country just not long ago. They were being detained, arrested, and without even police bond. But ever since the new dawn came into leadership, we have seen that the big players, the big people that monitor democracy and grade democracy in terms of its performance indicators, they have recognized Zambia. We are not taking it for granted that Zambia has gained as a country. The youths of this country have also gained. The visit by the Vice President of the United States of America to Zambia is not a mean achievement. Fwebena Zambia, katutemwane bane, where somebody has achieved, let's learn to appreciate one another.
The United States of America is co-hosting the second Summit for Democracy with governments of Costa Rica, the Netherlands, Republic of Korea, and the Republic of Zambia. The second Summit for Democracy will assemble world leaders in a virtual plenary format, followed by gatherings in each of the co-hosted countries with representatives from the government, the civil society, and the private sector. The visit of U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is not without negative sentiments from the government critics who feel the U.S. is coming to impose its values on Zambia, such as issues pertaining to the LGBTQ and persuading Zambia to take a side in the Russia-Ukraine war. The claims which the Zambian government has refuted on several occasions. We spoke to a historian from the University of Zambia, Professor Bizek Piri, on the significance of Zambia hosting the Democracy Summit.
So Zambia to have been chosen is in itself a reflection that our democracy and how we've been conducting our politics in this country has been recognized, and that we're moving in the right direction in terms of democracy.
And when asked about the allegations that the United States wants to persuade Zambia to align itself to its beliefs and principles, Professor Piri had this to say.
Our leaders must be very careful that as they are participating in this conference that is coming, they are not giving in to pressures which will make Zambia go the wrong way and betray the Zambian people. We have our own cultural values. The issues that you have raised, that perhaps because the Americans are coming in, they will push Zambia to say, no, can you support gayism, and so on and so forth. Those are issues that our leaders should protect the Zambians, should not fall to. Indeed, we need the support, economic and so on and so forth, but we should not do things which are against our own values as a people.
We also spoke to social scientist Innocent Kolala, who acknowledged that Zambia's democratic credentials will improve for co-hosting the summit.
Democratically, the country is going to go high because we'll be respected the entire world to say Zambia is amongst such countries which indeed demonstrate the principles of democracy. This has been demonstrated before, where we have seen that we have given power to each other without creating any anarchy in the country or even dropping a blood.
He has, however, condemned and discouraged the Opposition Patriotic Front from protesting against the summit and the visit by the US Vice President.
Our preamble of our constitution that we need to ensure as a country, we need to ensure that we uphold the tenets of democracy. Since we have chosen as a country to run by using the leadership of democracy, why should they demonstrate for that? Ideally, what we expected as Zambians for them to demonstrate on is some of the issues which they themselves promised.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
29th to 30th of this year, 2023, Zambia will co-host the second summit for democracy with the United States of American government. The second summit for democracy to be held in Osaka will assemble world leaders with the representatives from the government, civil society, and the private sector. You will recall that just recently, this country hosted the African Union Consultative Summit. And you also recall that the NDI had its conference here, attended by various countries. And to that regard, the Afrobarometer, in terms of good governance, gave Zambia the #1 slot. That is the best country in Africa in terms of good governance. It is for the same reason that you are seeing this conference is coming here, as I alluded to earlier, an endorsement of good governance on the part of President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND government. So this, from an economic perspective, showing clearly that the people that are coming to attend these meetings are bringing in foreign exchange.
Yeah, quite an interesting conversations there, Sharon, on the Democracy Summit.
Indeed.
Quite a number of stories we've covered.
Yeah,
just a few of them.
Preparations prior to this event, so that we keep our memories fresh. We try to understand exactly what this summit is about, and I think we've got a better understanding. We are yet to see exactly what will be discussed, and hopefully other people have brought in suggestions. Like I mentioned earlier, they are hoping that certain things should be tabled, should be cleared, so that the Zambian people know where we stand and not just speak on the sidelines. Of course, there will be quite a number of sidelines meetings discussing various issues, like the AU summit that we had, media summit that we had. There was a number of
side meetings
discussing various issues to do with climate change, gender-based violence. So equally this time around, there will be a number of things. I'm not just sure in what line there will be, but there will be a lot of things. Already there's one on elections, I think about 2 on elections today, so we are yet to see how this will unfold. Of course, we will continue to give you updates. Now on the line, we have National Democratic Congress Party President, Mr. George Sichola. I'm hoping he's listening. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Sichola.
Good morning to you, thank you.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Okay, great to have you. Prior to this interview, we had a brief discussion that we wanted to talk to you, but you are not in town, so we decided to go on phone. Technology is very good to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with Patrick here, and we want to just have a brief discussion on the NDC, where it stand, and you, as somebody who was last week embattled by your members, your national spokesperson, Emmanuel Malite. Where do you stand, Mr. Sichola?
Okay, well, thank you so much for creating this opportunity for me. I noticed that last week in the reporting by most of the media houses, the reporting was one-sided. They did not show our side. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to say that I'm still president, and Mr. Camnet continues to be president, and Dr. Bodo continues to be secretary. Nothing has changed. Just a mayor announced a party spokesperson does not remove the president. When you look at the constitution of any there is a procedure used to remove a president from office. I want to say that the people who held that presidency in Lusaka had no authority to remove a president, vice president, and secretary. What we saw was the deputy chairman for Lusaka and the few constituent members. That does not a national government. When you look at the constitution of there is that and in the absence of the president, the one who is supposed to be is the national chef. Now there was no meeting. Those boys that made a mayor announcement. So that did not hold any water and that did not change anything. Here is the background. Now, attended a funeral. The same funeral was attended by Dr. Chishimba.
Okay, Mr. Sichola. Mr. Sichola, just hold your thought. Your line is not very clear, so I would kindly ask if in case you're mobile, maybe you can just stop for a while, and then we have a clear conversation because it's breaking a little.
It's fluctuating.
It's fluctuating, yes. It's
okay.
Yes. You can go ahead now. Maybe just stop, park somewhere, and let's talk clearly for just about 5-10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the background to Dr. Budo, I think it's the funeral which was attended by Dr. Chimba. And I'm looking at the related. Yeah. So when the two members of APC saw them, they thought that they were protecting Chimba Kambi I did know that then that is my first person thing. So overall, I want to say that it was just a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there is no issue to talk about here, and now encouragement to the membership that whenever there are issues, it's better we think than writing to the media.
Mr. Sichola, you're also being accused of trying to woo back Mr. Kambwili into the party leadership of the NDC. How true are those allegations?
No, it is not. I have not spoken to Dr. Mbakam government. Yeah, so if the lie to God, say something to Zimbabwe, all of us know that. Yeah, so I think these are
just politics. We hope that you resolve those matters soon.
We also want to get the perspective of your political party on the Democracy Summit which Zambia is hosting. What does this mean for Zambia?
I would think it's very easy to talk about democracy. In Africa, proper orientation leaders when it comes to democracy. It's easier to get done. What we do is different from what we talk about. The way we understand democracy, the majority of it. Yeah, so not only in Zambia, but in Africa, talk about democracy. But what we do is different. I think now our can start to speak of when they are in the house. Our leaders think that the truth of leadership is yeah, so of democracy, the job.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chula. We will continue to call upon you. Hopefully, when you are in Lusaka, we will invite you right here on studio so we can have a clear, lengthy conversation on how the party is faring. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right. That was Mr. George Sichola, NDC faction leader, and yeah, part of the UPND alliance. The line wasn't very clear, but we picked it.
But we may also have to recap that story that was on Friday by his accusers.
Yes.
So that people can be brought into the context of this intra-party wrangle. And, you know, when I was talking to Professor Bizek Piri, the other subject we were engaging on is intra-party democracy, which he observed that is too weak in Zambia. Intra-party democracy in that you'd see that political parties, especially when it comes to electing a leader, they encounter those problems in terms of who should govern. You discover those who feel they are popular, they want to impose themselves on the people and say, no, they have endorsed me, I'm going unopposed. So everyone else always wants to contest, they are disguised. This person is saying that the entire executive has endorsed this person, but how do I compete? So at the end of the day, you also end up just saying, anyway, we are supporting this person. And we have seen it in various political parties. The political party that tried so hard in the past to hold conventions was the MMD. As much as they could have been the difficulties and issues pertaining to the campaigning process, but they would still go to the convention and elect a leader. In this country, I've attended a convention where people had to vote by hands. Saying, who's for this person?
You say, yeah.
Yes, who's for this person? You understand? But we know that elections have to be properly administered. We have institutions that administer elections that work in the electoral sector, such as the Southern Africa Center for Constructive Resolution of Disputes, SACOD, Foundation for Democratic Process, FODEP, CISCA. These the TIZ. They would help these institutions to hold elections
which are free and fair.
Unlike the election where we say, I think more hands seems to turn towards Sharon. So Sharon is the president. those elections.
I would love that anyway.
Yeah. So now, you know, it's quite tricky when it comes to intra-party democracy, because first of all, a political party has to demonstrate intra-party democracy if it is to perform well at national level, because the same values will be taken to the national level. Now, if you are not democratic in your own institution, how do you expect to thrive?
It's very difficult, though, when it comes to political parties, Patrick. I think over time, I've just realized, you know, they're not really a fair process, you know, within the party, especially that it's a small number of people that will probably just come forth and vote. But then you find they have a favorite, you know, and that person may not be the best leader, you know. At least when you have a national character, it becomes a bit tricky, and it usually reflects at least 50% of people's views and aspirations. But then a small group of people, like, you know, last time, I don't remember quite clearly, but the UPND's convention, I don't know where it was held, but I'm thinking it's the party secretariat.
Yes.
But you know, the party secretariat, it's a small building, Patrick, with a small space.
Yeah.
And then I remember Pamela Tsanga. She's a renowned activist. She's part of CISCA. She was part of the people who were conducting those elections. McDonald Jipenzi, now he's with the Electoral Commission of Zambia. He was part of the people that conducted those elections. But then I'm thinking, UPND was a national party.
They used the two arrangements. They said that the virtual and
so
the people were voting virtually, and there were some officers in those respective districts. But for the president, he went and opposed. Because everyone else was endorsing the president.
Went and opposed. It's like they just wanted the man to test the power at national level.
And they're true to that.
And true to that.
Testing it.
He has tested power. Let's see when next they hold the convention, and then if at all there will be other contenders against him. But
when we reach 2024, we'll see a meeting by the party. They'll say, we have endorsed to continue. You know that arrangement. We saw it under PF mostly, where they say, no, the Central Committee has resolved that the President TCL is its party.
I think that's why they're even having issues with holding their convention. There's so many things at play.
Yeah.
So many hidden hands at play.
So many hidden
even
agendas.
Among themselves, I think they are pushing the button so that they delay this whole thing, you know. But anyway, we hope to see.
I hope someone does not imagine, say, I'm the chosen one.
When God says yes, no one can say no.
Yeah, we are the chosen one. You remember that time?
I know. They may start bringing in God.
Yes. The big man
was the chosen one.
Yeah, those things.
Anyways, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast, and we are briefly discussing the Democracy Summit that Zambia is co-hosting starting today up until when? Friday? 3 days?
It is a 2-day event, but it also coincides with the visit by
the US Vice President
Kamala Harris on Friday. Will be coming on Friday.
So you will do well to follow these important events and get to understand where your country stands in terms of its democratic ratings. Of course, for us to be chosen to co-host this event is actually great. It's enough testament that we are doing fine. We may not be where we want to be, Patrick, but we are definitely doing fine, and we hope to, like we talked about, the intra-party elections, intra-party democracy. Let's see more of that. Let's not see leaders who take over, who take the bull by its horn, you know. They do things because it is me who started the party. We want to see a situation where a Fred member is subjected to this, where Winter Kavimba is subjected to an election. But you know, this Winter Kavimba of that world, he's been there since the party was formed. I've not even heard of any convention, if at all there's any. You know, he's the Secretary General, he's the spokesperson, he's a what. Not to dwell much on that, but
we want to see Dr. Richard Silumbe of the leadership movement being challenged.
I think these things should just be called associations. Some of these political parties.
Yeah, but again, even associations,
they go through that process.
But we have also organizations that have had an executive director since I started my career as a journalist.
Yeah,
it is the same executive director.
Mafia leadership.
So that's democracy for you.
Leadership.
Yeah, number of issues. In case you want to join the conversation, you can do so by giving us a call, and we get interacting. You can equally leave us a message on our socials, and we'll be able to read it out. We value your viewership as usual. Quite interesting stories. Also, I wanted us to also look at this story. It also reflects about how our democracy is pertaining to the three arms of government, being the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. Now, looking at a freelance journalist based in the United States of America, Augustine Mukuka, has sued the Football Association of Zambia before the Lusaka High Court for seeking an apology on the allegations leveled against him by the association. In a statement of a claim, Mr. Mukuka is further seeking damages for libel, defamation, aggravated damages, interest, and any other relief the court might deem fit. It wants a mandatory order that that files lenders an apology. Before we do that, let's pick this call.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
I'm quite mabombeni. Tuliwanda na banani. Hello?
After such good bemba, Patrick.
I tried, eh?
Yes, you did.
I did try, eh? It's getting there. Yeah, we can still call back. I think the line was pretty bad. No wonder we could not continue the conversation. But do call us and give us your perspective on democracy. And we are talking the Democracy Summit, which Zambia is co-hosting with the United States of America, Netherlands, and Costa Rica, as well as South Korea. Quite interesting countries that are also proponents of democracy in the world. So now it is not by by coincidence that we have been selected. In Zambia, we have also tried to uphold to some good tenets of democracy, especially when it comes to the transition of power.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, we have had we have 7 presidents, and we have had a smooth transition of power from one president to the other. So that demonstrates how committed we are to democracy as a country, and we continue to wish that it continues the same. But to do that, we need to ensure that we continue to strengthen institutions of governance.
Let's look at the story that you talked about, where one of the freelance journalists has sued the Football Association of Zambia, demanded certain things. Let's look at the story, among other stories.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Zambia is because I realized that Croatian authorities are trying to cover up this case and basically take out the accused of prison on any way possible. The first moment when I suspected that the adoptions were illegal was when it came out information that one of the accused child traffickers, Noah Kraljevic, is transgender person, and we know that in DR Congo transgender people cannot adopt children. Later I went to the Belgrade embassy of DR Congo in Serbia, and they told me that for years DR Congo does not allow any foreign adoptions, and at that moment I realized that this is not just suspicion about one person, but the whole group may have been acting contrary to the law. And at that moment, the Croatian state began putting pressure on me, and as soon as I could, I took the flight ticket and I came to Zambia, to Ndola, where I met with the prosecutors, and there I gave testimony and I gave them important information regarding the case.
Unsatisfied with his dismissal from serving as a judicial officer, former Lusaka magistrate David Simusambas rushed to the Lusaka High Court complaining about the same. In an affidavit in support of notice of complaint, he has submitted that he was appointed to act as a registrar at the High Court Family and Children Division on the 20th of March 2019 and was entitled to receive an acting allowance equal to the difference between his substantive salary as a principal resident magistrate and any other allowances applicable to the rank of registrar in the High Court, and enjoy all entitlements relating to the office of the Registrar of the High Court. He contends that he acted for almost 4 years as registrar, however, was demoted in 2022 and transferred back to the subordinate court in Lusaka. He has submitted before court that upon inquiring why he was being demoted and transferred, the acting chief registrar and chief administrator informed him that they were merely directed by the higher authorities and advised him to administratively apply to the high authorities. While he still was waiting for his disposal of his administration appeal, To his shock, he received a letter from the acting chief resident magistrate then, Dominic Makalicha, and the acting chief registrar, Paul Chisha. He states that the chief resident magistrate gave him a letter on the 31st of January 2022 and in total contravention of the procedure for handling disciplinary matter in the public service, reportedly charged him with absenteeism, alleging that he has been absent from duty without leave for a continuous period of 10 days or more from the 30th of December 2021 to the 31st of January 2022, which allegation was totally unfounded as he had always reported for duty. He now seeks an order for reinstatement in his position, an order or declaration that his dismissal was unlawful, unfair and wrongful, an order that he be paid his appropriate benefit, applicable allowance accordingly, an order that he be paid his half salaries, housing and fuel allowance from August 2022 until the 31st of December 2022. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Oh, there you have it. I was just getting
spacing.
amazed. Yeah.
So this story for the Croatians who attempted to sneak out children, really, that is a former member of the National Assembly in Croatia, and he was addressing the media yesterday, Patrick, and he said, you know, those people who attempted to sneak kids out of here are not even eligible because they are transgender. You know what that means, you know. They cannot have children, you know. They, according to their laws there, it's like if you're transgender, you're not even allowed to adopt a child.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
You're not even allowed to do that. So what was the essence of those guys coming to Africa, adopting children and taking them that side? Patrick.
Yeah, that's, you know, it's very confusing, you understand? and you know, like, it's like now they're just taking advantage of the vulnerabilities that Africa has, you understand? The Democratic Republic of Congo, you know that it is highly affected by war, and you know there's a lot of displacement. Yeah, there's a lot of family disintegration where you discover children, maybe a child lost both parents in the war, a child is vulnerable. So these people tend to take advantage of this situation now. If you can't have your child, now you start rushing to Africa, you know. These are things we're talking
about. If they tell you that a man and man cannot marry, a woman and woman cannot marry, you cannot have children, but in Shimule for Abana, why should you get married of the same sex?
So now
you start now bringing up these children, wanting to make them believe that you can get married, a man and a man. What sort of nonsense is that? You know, if you cannot have children, then you don't. You know, you can't. A man and man cannot have children, so that is an illegal thing altogether. You know. Yeah. So you cannot start coming here and start polluting our children, start polluting African children into believing that these things are very normal. However, we are happy that the process was intercepted. But Patrick, this is just a tip of an iceberg. There's a lot that is not captured because corruption is all over. This is not the first time. People don't just come and do things. Because people just don't come and do things. And if obviously others have done it before. And that man said it categorically, and he's saying that he would love to see justice prevail. You know, you would love to make sure that this matter is brought to its logical conclusion, because it feels there are too many people involved. He even suspects that others are taking advantage of the situation, and some law enforcement agencies colluding to just make sure that that illegality is conducted, you know, because these people who commit these crimes are organized. This is called organized crime. Yes. It's not like you just wake up and you planned, you even know they even know all those arrangements. So, even know those arrangements. Yeah, so those are the issues. We hope that the whole situation is corrected. However, we'll try and continue to just track and see how this story is unfolding, and hopefully it reaches its logical conclusion. Exactly. Would you want us to zoom in any story? Why are you asking me that? Please zoom one, then we can wind up the show as we wait and try to log in and monitor the Democracy Summit. It's a very big story.
Yeah.
For on personal level and at national level.
Exactly. There's an interesting story pertaining to issues that of gender-based violence that we covered as of yesterday. A story pertaining to a couple fighting and one ends up
dead.
Yeah. So this is quite a sad story, if you ask, because it continues to reflect the challenges that we continue to face in these communities. And we just hope that authorities would do everything possible to ensure that we mitigate these high crime levels. A 40-year-old man of Lusaka's Mandevu compound has gone scot-free from Mandevu police post after allegedly repeatedly defiling an 8-year-old girl. That's another story of the same community. The Camnet News crew was informed that Emmanuel Piri, father to the girl, which is not the real name, explains that the accused was a family's former landlord. So this is a story on defilement, Sharon, and we also have another story of a 19-year-old woman who was allegedly murdered a 24-year-old husband in Lusaka's Garden House area after a marital dispute. So we are going to zoom in these two stories, but it is just a reminder that we are facing these issues frequently, Sharon, because we also have another story today.
A very, very sad story, Patrick. We'll want our viewers to wait and see the details on our menus, but it's not a very exciting story in terms of what is happening, painting the picture.
Story.
It's a sad story, but it's something you would want to see and probably try to help in one way or the other. It starts from family values. Let's try to live in harmony. Let's try to resolve issues. Let's try to talk to one another in the family, because, Patrick, you know, with this issue of technology coming into play, most people are always on their gadgets.
They're not talking to
They're not talking to one another. You know, we hide in the name of being happy or with happy pictures on social media behind the keyboard. You know, sometimes you would even be shocked to find that your child is insulting people on social media, but to you they are the perfect child, you know, simply because you have not taken time to notice certain traits or certain kinds of behaviors. I think it's important. Somebody needs to be normal. They don't need to be hyper or hyper, you know. When they are too hyper, like they're too quiet, sometimes we take being too quiet, like hyper, like it's very normal. Like, oh man, you're very quiet. Can we take interest in understanding why that child or that person is really quiet? I think everybody deserves to just be normal. Of course, there are people that cannot be talking to everybody. Like you, Patrick, you're very reserved to some extent. But when you're with us, you make the most noise because you're comfortable with us. Now, if you begin to be quiet, even to us, we need to worry.
Get worried.
Yes, we need to worry. So equally, I think it's important to observe our children, observe the people that we stay with. Let us know their behaviors and how they fluctuate.
Exactly.
If they're too excited, we need to find out what's making you really happy. If they're too quiet, let's also find out. Let's allow people to act within the realm of which we know them. I think it's very important. It's going to help us avoid certain situations, because really we can't continue having these gender-based violence cases simply because people are failing to understand each other. Let's open the Pandora box. Let's talk. You know, if things really do not work out, let's go separate ways. That's what I always say. It's better you are alive, and eventually you may get along in future. Exactly. Let's look at the story.
After allegedly taking the innocence of an 8-year-old girl, a man suspected to be around 49 years of Lusaka's Mandevu compound is said to be living in the same community with the victim's family and taunting them after he was allegedly released from Mandevu police post, where he had been arrested after the matter was officially reported on 30th January 2023. It is not known how many times the girl was allegedly defiled, as the accused, the carpenter, is the family's former long-time landlord, who was living within the same premises. The family of the girl say they only started suspecting that something was wrong with the 8-year-old after she started experiencing abdominal pains, causing them to take her to the hospital. They, however, narrate that the accused was released from Mandevu police post without any statement being recorded from the victim's family. The names of the family members have been changed for the sake of confidentiality.
Mandevu police hapa ndima menetina mperekera mwana QTH kuja tinachaya ma program yonse ya mwana yanasira na malizauti anachoka pamande pantanda kutitende chitebwanji tisegulise doketi tinapeza uja muntu wachitabwanji bamuchosa so apamanja apa yenda mtumansi so apanetikamba ikesi na anabwani konkapo last time namboniuza kuti ine sina vichitepo romamina enda kambira mu bantu kuti ikesi tinamuna mzira chape.
Grandmother of the girl, Judith Mulenga, has also produced medical records from the University Teaching Hospital UTH, which have confirmed that the girl was repeatedly defiled.
Naenda kuchipata kliniki zona wanampima mwana wapezati wanilangiza tumaona vidonda hivi wanamba liti wa dokta wanamfunsa na yeve mwana ati wanamba ni kudala wangu wananiseweza mu toilet na mu bafu wabanuza ati enda ku UTH na bora natenga wana wambuya wanga na titieni pa polisi before tikaribu kuenda kulieve tinaenda ku polisi abatuza tendani mumtenge tenamtenga taenda naye pachane pa Mandevu polisi taenda naye fitapitiliza na ulendo watu wakuchane ku UTH tinapeza dokta mkazi dokta na Eva na bwa pima bwa anita na tumaona kadi beve bene wake baza mwene wa mwana wapimira na bwa bapima bayangana banirangiza tutulonda utu nato zona anamugwira.
The girl Messi Piri has also narrated how the accused used to drag her to one of the toilets outside their house, kneel down, and defile her many times. Meanwhile, Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Daniel Mwale says an inquiry will be undertaken to see what led to the release of the accused. The family of the victim have shifted from the premises but are still living within the same community. Camnet TV will also continue to follow the story with relevant non-governmental organizations until its conclusion. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. It is an unexpected turn from the usual reports of a man killing his wife after stab wounds from a 19-year-old woman have allegedly led to the death of her 24-year-old husband. The scenario at this House of Garden House compound in Lusaka, which is the alleged crime scene, has a story to tell, as the door is unhinged with scattered bottles all over the floor in the house where the fight leading to the death is said to have happened. According to a police statement by Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Dani Mwale, the woman identified as Donisa Chilumelume and her husband identified as Lakson Chizieya got into a fight when the man, after coming from a drinking spree, found his wife talking to another man. Landlord of the premises, Alex Manunga, has first-hand information stating that the duo took turns in stabbing each other using one glass bottle in the wee hours of Sunday morning. This led to the man dying at Kanyama Level 1 Hospital in the wee hours of Monday morning due to the heavy bleeding he experienced after the incident.
Transport. After I mean that now rat cruiser police ya bwira. Barandro dwa wakamba since there is not mira police nata abantu bapaya na kuno. Kwera ni chabe mmanja ndani ya ba police kuti mufike buno bwino.
Vaikeko nzero ku ministry yao. Chifukwa sichioneka bwino. Elewe inkani yofera muntu pa floor siza silira hapa. Ikali kuenda kusogolo. Boma ikaliko imatandiza monga mavuto yaso. Sinapeleke mwana wanga kuti afera kunyumba. Wati monga ti afera kunyumba. Vama mchita atendi na kumwika mu mortuary room.
manje mwana afera mu hospital nisichinala kuika nchiani na kubukinga motoka pamene pa hospital kuti kuniuza kuti mwana wako wamene amwalira sasa gona mochari yapano pakanyama level 1 hospital mwana wako wafunika kupeleka ku UTH ali responsible body kuti aipeleke ku UTH ngati ili under management ndine loko ni management.
The father and mother of the deceased, however, have a different complaint, stating that police delayed to arrive at the scene due to transport challenges. They have also alleged that their loved one died on the floor as he was discharged from Kanyama Level 1 Hospital due to the lack of space, and that the family was told to transport the body to the University Teaching Hospital UTH mortuary on their own.
Where they were taken to the clinic, both of them, with the family members. My appeal unto our government, I think the community, the way it is Garden House, is very vast and it has grown. The population is very high. Garden House on its own, we are supposed to have not less than 3 police posts. Then from there, again, unto the Ministry of Home Affairs, we are requesting that Kanyama constituency is just too big for it to have 1 land cruiser. Therefore, we are appealing unto the government if they can help us to come up with at least in each, maybe in each police post, to have a mobile vehicle.
The accused woman is currently at Kanyama police station, while 2 young children have been left half orphaned. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Interestingly, Sharon.
Welcome back. You're still watching.
Interesting.
You're still watching the Camnet Breakfast, but
what excited you? Share with the people.
It's someone bringing us a stale story that is
breaking news. Like
breaking the news that is already broken.
Yeah, breaking the news 3 times. When is it breaking news? Quite an interesting aspect. Well, we've been watching the Camnet Breakfast Show with me, Patrick Soko, and Sharon Kalimbola. We were discussing the Democracy Summit, which Zambia is co-hosting with the United States of America, Costa Rica, South Korea, as well as the Netherlands. And in Zambia, we are going today. The meeting is virtual, as well as for tomorrow it will be a physical meeting, and we are going to see quite a number of side meetings as well. And as Camnet TV will continue to bring you the deliberations on the screens as well, and especially in the menus, as well as updates on our social media pages, as well as on our YouTube. You can just get in to follow us, as well as if you don't want to miss out on the updates on what is happening in the country.
Indeed. Thank you so much for watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Join us again tomorrow. Good morning.